Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Climate. I'm Jennifer Giordano, and today we're bringing you a research brief episode. We'll be taking a look at our latest American Climate Perspective survey titled Climate Change, the More You Know, the More You Care. I'm joined by Nicole Hill, who co-authored the report along with ecoAmerica Executive Director Megan Spicer. Let's begin with a few questions. Nicole, would you please tell us about the background of this survey and why ecoAmerica conducted it?
Hi, Jennifer. Absolutely. And thank you to everyone who's tuning in today. So we know that Americans are concerned about climate change. And so we wanted to know in 2023, what factors influence that concern? Do people think others around them share those concerns? And then we wanted to take a look at perspectives that US adults had on local and national government action. Are Americans feeling satisfied with what their community is doing to address climate change? Do they think that at-home solutions are accessible to them right now? So we cover all these topics in the report.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm interested to learn about what factors influence climate concern. Please share what you found.
Great, will do. So before I begin, I always, of course, want to go over the methodology, which can be found with the top line results and the full report on ecoAmerica's website. You can also find the links to the full report and the blog post in the video description below. The report was fielded between January 5th and January 6th, 2023, and it yielded 1,056 complete adult responses. In interpreting the survey results, it's important to note that all sample surveys are subject to possible sampling error, and the margin of error for this sample is plus or minus 3%. So now we can dig into the first findings. So this first graph shows that weather patterns and learning more about climate change are the top factors that influence climate concern among Americans. You can see on the graph here that 54% of Americans report that changing seasonal weather patterns influence their concern, so over half. 45% of Americans report that learning about climate change influences their concern, which is actually up from 33% who last year said that seeking out information about climate change was influential. And then 41% of Americans say that experiencing a climate change related event plays a role. For fewer Americans, national politics and media influence their concern. Less than a quarter, only 23%, identify that as a factor. And even fewer, only 14% of Americans say that their friends, family members, or colleagues play a role.
So weather patterns definitely seem to be a concerning issue to more Americans. What percentage of Americans say they're concerned about climate change?
Thanks, Jennifer. That's a good question, and that's going to bring me to the next slide. So the majority of Americans, 72%, report being concerned about climate change. And that includes 42% who are very concerned and 30% who are somewhat concerned. Another 16% are a little concerned, and so that totals 88% overall. Only 12% of Americans say that they're not concerned about climate change at all. And although there's high level of concern among Americans, few actually believe that their peers feel the same. So just about half, 52%, say that others around them are concerned about climate change. This graph shows here that only 14% say that others around them are very concerned, when in reality, 3 times that number of Americans report this level of concern. And if more Americans join in climate conversations with people around them, this gap in perception versus reality may begin to close.
Thanks, Nicole. We've seen this in prior years, but it seems that today is still true. People feel alone or isolated in their climate change concern. What can you tell us about American attitudes about local and national climate action?
Well, Americans are noticing weather patterns changing around them, but we wanted to find out if they believed that leaders are doing enough to address it. So we asked Americans how satisfied they were with the action that their local community is taking to address climate change. Roughly 1/3 reported satisfaction. So you can see here only 8% said that they were very satisfied and 23% said that they were satisfied. Similarly, about 1/3 reported dissatisfaction, with 8% being very dissatisfied and 21% being dissatisfied. And so this remaining 40% of Americans say that they don't know what their local community is doing to address climate change. And across demographic groups, including political affiliation, age, and sex, between 33 and 50% of Americans report being unaware. So just for example here, 41% of Republicans, 36% of Democrats, 41% of independents, and then 50% of folks who chose that their political party identification was something else say that they don't know what their local community is doing. So this presents an opportunity for education and also a call to action for local leaders to communicate with their constituents on climate policies and programs, including how solutions are being rolled out and the ways in which residents can participate in those and can benefit from them.
Right, absolutely. And ecoAmerica offers communication resources for anyone to use, whether you're a concerned citizen or an elected official. We've linked those in the video description for any listeners who are interested. Nicole, anything else?
Yes, we have about 3 more graphs that display findings about the accessibility of climate change solutions. So since the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, companies and government agencies are working to make at-home climate solutions like solar energy and electric cars more affordable and more available. However, when ecoAmerica asked Americans if these types of solutions are accessible to them, more than half, 52%, thought not. Only 13% here said that they were very accessible, while 35% said somewhat accessible. So that equals this 48% who say that they were very or somewhat accessible right now. And then 33% say not so accessible, and 19% said that they're not accessible at all. However, household income and age highlight disparities in reported accessibility. So let's take a look here at household income. Compared to other household income brackets, more Americans in the 200,000 plus group report that solar panels and electric vehicles are accessible to them right now. So you can see here 62% of folks in this income bracket say these solutions are either very or somewhat accessible. And this is as much as a 19-point difference in reported accessibility compared to the people with household income brackets ranging from $0 to $49,000 a year. Only 43% to 46% of Americans in these lower 3 brackets say that solutions are accessible. So you can see this line trending downward. And then while reported accessibility trends up with income, the opposite is seen with age. Americans in the youngest age group, this 18 to 29 years of age, view climate solutions like solar energy and electric cars as more accessible. 53% say they're accessible to them right now. And in contrast, only 42% of Americans over the age of 60 say that these solutions are accessible, which highlights a 19-point difference between the two. And Americans in the 30 to 44 age group and the 45 to 60 age group fall in between at 49% and at 46% respectively. And these findings highlight that while programs are rolling out to make at-home climate solutions more widely available, there's work to do to ensure that they're accessible to a broader diversity of Americans. And so that wraps up the findings that I have today. I once again want to thank everyone who's tuning in, and I do encourage you to take a look at the full report and also share it with your network. We created a social toolkit and it's available for you to use. It's linked in the video description below. Back to you, Jennifer.
Thank you for your work here, Nicole. These are important findings to share. We encourage everyone to go to ecoAmerica.org to download the full report and social toolkit, as Nicole has said. Please join us in sharing these findings with your network. Let us know if you have feedback on this episode or ideas about future topics. We're at research@ecoamerica.org. And join us every Thursday for live episodes of Let's Talk Climate. You can engage with us using the hashtag Let's Talk Climate. Subscribe and follow @ecoAmerica on social for the latest research and resources on climate action and advocacy. See you soon.